A really big welcome to the Salon Chat Room podcast with Angeline Hayden, founder of Midas Customer Service Training and Salon Solutions, and Kerry Humphreys, founder of Locate Your Look. Please help us welcome our guests for today. We are sure you'll be suitably entertained and learn something new and inspiring about our amazing industry. The Salon Chat Room podcast welcomes today Nick Posford. Nick is CEO of the British Dyslexia Association, and Nick joined in 2020 with a wealth of knowledge. He's keen to help drive improvements across society to benefit those with dyslexia. We know this is going to be a great podcast that will touch the hairdressing. So hi everybody, and welcome to the Salon Chat Room podcast with myself, Angeline Hayden, and Kerry Humphreys. Hi Kerry.
Hi.
And we are absolutely delighted to invite and speak to today Nick Posford. Now, Nick is the CEO for the British Dyslexic Association, and we really want to delve deep and find out how they help our learners out there and what their plans are for the future as well. So, hi Nick, welcome to the Salon Chat Room podcast.
Hi Nick.
Thank you.
So, Nick, our first question is, please, can you share with us and tell our audience exactly how did you become CEO? What's your involvement with the British Dyslexia Association? We'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, so I've worked for a few charities during my career, and mostly they've been health charities. But as I have neurodiverse nieces and nephews, including two nieces with dyslexia and one with dyscalculia, I was really interested when the opportunity at the British Dyslexia Association came up and that they were looking for a new chief exec. And I think there's so much potential for us to really do a lot more for people with dyslexia and to kind of really change perceptions of it, I think, more than anything. And I think I was just really excited by the opportunity and really pleased to join. I mean, it was a bit strange because I joined during the last summer, sort of at the end of the summer. So I've spent most of my time working remotely. So I haven't actually seen that many of the team in person yet. And we're looking forward to hopefully some of that happening later this year. But it's been really good, and it's such a lovely organisation with so many people that are so supportive, and you know, I think there's huge amounts we can achieve.
I think it does help as well, you know, like you were saying, that you have nieces and nephews with you know, this neurodiverse issue, I suppose, and I do too. I have a husband who is dyslexic, so I totally understand. And when, you know, I was looking around for companies that we could hopefully do work for and work with, British Dyslexic Association was just right out there. They really were. So you're enjoying your time. You're enjoying your time with them, albeit a very different sort of approach than what you imagined it would be.
Yeah, I guess to some extent. I mean, I think we've all adapted to the world that we're in at the moment, and I think, you know, the future is a digital future, and I think there's huge opportunity. And although, you know, sometimes things can seem a bit negative, I think actually, you know, the future possibilities are huge. And I think particularly around dyslexia, there's still a lot that needs to happen to change people's understanding of it, people's perceptions of it. But I think there's real opportunities, and actually, particularly right now, you know, it seems to me that there's a real chance for people to recognise that the advantages of thinking differently, the advantages of dyslexic thinking, are going to be really important, you know, in economic terms, in growing businesses, and so on. So I'm really excited by it, definitely.
I mean, Kerry and I were talking, weren't we, Kerry, about the amount of people, learners, stylists, ranging from apprentices to senior stylists, and actually people who are in the media who are dyslexic in the salon and beauty industry. We were talking about that, weren't we, Kerry?
Yeah. I just feel that with the industry, I feel that it's always been there, but as you say, people don't understand it that well. So more awareness, especially in our industry, would be really helpful. I just feel that having a bit more knowledge about it, recognizing it better, as you say, putting a positive path on it that we can turn around and work with them would be absolutely amazing. I think it's definitely what certainly this industry, as well as many industries, need. Because I would say that it's increasing, but it's probably not increasing. It's probably we're more just aware of it.
Yeah, and I think the creativity that often comes with dyslexia is probably really useful in your industry, and kind of when it comes to, you know, all the different clients that people might be working with, you know, having that creative thinking is just so important and so useful. And I think as people getting a better understanding, they're realizing that it's something that can bring a real advantage. And I think that's something that's certainly a message that we feel is really important, that people recognize that this is dyslexia is not a negative thing. There are some challenges that come with that, but often those challenges aren't to do with dyslexia itself so much as how it's perceived and people's understanding of it. And actually, once people recognize the real benefits and advantages that can come with that style of thinking and the creativity, then the opportunities are huge. And I think, you know, particularly within the beauty industry and salons and so on, I think it's a really useful attribute for people to have.
So I think really we need to be embracing dyslexia and dyslexic people, because like you were saying, they tend to be more people connected and far more face-to-face, better at communication than people who are not dyslexic, you know. And also you've got several ambassadors that work with the British Dyslexic Association, and one of them, Leighton Denny. Now Leighton Denny is MBE, and he's in the beauty side of the industry. So, you know, you've got big names there and so what can these people bring to the British Dyslexic Association?
Yeah, so I mean, Leighton is he's a really fantastic example of someone who's achieved great things because of his way of thinking, because of his dyslexia. And I think, you know, to have those kind of role models to show others is really, really important. I mean, I think we always, with all of our ambassadors, we always want to work with people who can inspire others, who can encourage others, who can help us kind of change some of those preconceptions. And Leighton is fantastic in that way. You know, he's built a really impressive business, and, you know, he's someone who shows the positive side of dyslexia and the advantages that it can bring. And really, I think from our perspective, he's really helped both build our profile as an organisation, but also build a profile for dyslexia itself, and kind of show people a different side to it, and help people kind of see the positives, you know. And we're so proud to be associated with him, and, you know, it's brilliant to have someone like him as an ambassador for the British Dyslexia Association.
So it kind of shows
there's so many positives of it, isn't there? There's so many there's more positives than not. But some people just have that stigma, haven't they? That as soon as they hear the word dyslexia, it's like, oh. And
I think, and I think there's a lot of historical kind of reasons for that. You know, I think maybe the understanding in the past, and maybe some of how I see it often, is maybe some of our previous approaches to education have been very much, you know, kind of trying to put people into boxes rather than recognizing the value of difference. And I think that has changed over the years, no doubt. And I think, you know, many improvements have happened, but I think there is still this thing where, you know, there's a perception that dyslexia is just about spelling or reading or writing, and actually it's not. It's about how the brain processes things, and that's where some of those challenges can be. But actually there's real advantages to it, and what we need is an education system that understands that recognises that, and that trains teachers. One of the most frustrating things is that in teacher training, there's a very, very limited amount of time spent looking at learning differences and looking at pupils and dyslexia and dyscalculia and so on. And so teachers don't really go into the classroom with a deep and proper understanding. And in any class, if they've got a class of 30 kids, there may be 3 that have got dyslexia, and those kids can go on to achieve great things if they're given that support at that really early stage.
And if it's recognised, I suppose, at an early age. Because very often...
The education side of it, isn't there? Because if you've got a class of 30 with 30 different personalities and 30 different sort of kind of possibilities, that directions that they want to go on, it's really difficult. So the likes of Angeline, to bring more to that side of it, outside education.
Yes, yeah.
Just showcasing our Smart Award. Extremely.
So I feel that is a real positive impact for everybody. Whatever
Absolutely.
in, I just feel that there needs to be more of the Angelines to
definitely. And I think that
for them as a person, it's for companies taking people on. So it's like the salons to recognise it and to teach them how to get the best out of somebody with dyslexia and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that lifelong training, I think it's really important for employers to keep their staff skills, keep upskilling their staff, keep developing their staff. And I think the opportunities for ongoing training once you're in the workplace are really, really, really crucial. And often, I think it's when people move into work and when they're working that they realise the skills they want to develop, or maybe there's challenges that they had when they were at school that weren't recognised, and actually then an employer recognises they've got someone with real talent who maybe needs a bit of help and support to develop. And that sort of ongoing training is really important. Definitely.
I think you're so right, Nick. I think the actual, the employers, I was one of the employers out there when I had my 2 salons, who was already living with somebody with dyslexia. So I was able to recognize it only because of the education, if you call it, that I had by knowing somebody with dyslexia, and also understanding the positive sides of his personality, and actually not what he can't do, but what he can do. So when
that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's
definitely.
Like, stop saying what you can't do and what the word dyslexia means to people. It's what you can create and what's positive about it. It's just a word, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So as far as businesses are concerned, Nick, what would you say to businesses? I know that we've just spoken about the need for getting, particularly in our industry, maybe academy tutors and owners to understand that the British Dyslexic Association are actually there to help them get the best out of their learners. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, we support a whole range of companies across the UK in terms of employee development. We've actually recently done some work with L'Oreal, and our ambassador Molly King was involved as well. And for us, it's about supporting those companies to make a really inclusive and dyslexia-friendly environment for their staff, because the benefits that they get as an employer as well can also be really important. And I think, that it doesn't have to be, I mean, it really doesn't have to be difficult. It's not overly complicated. It's kind of, there's a lot of quite simple things that employers can do that make their environment much more dyslexia friendly. And, then their staff will perform at their best and they'll get the best from their staff. So it's, I mean, I do genuinely think that there is a solid business case for investing in staff development and training, let alone obviously there's obligations that rightly every company has under equalities legislation and so on, and making sure that, you know, they are being inclusive to all staff and not discriminating. But there is also a fundamental, you know, there's the ethical moral element, but there is also a fundamental business case for it, you know, and genuinely it's having staff, you know, I mean, we've seen it recently, the GCHQ, you know, actively recruits neurodiverse employees because they recognize that they will spot patterns in things, that they will be able to do work that neurotypical staff may not. So, you know, it's kind of an employer, you know, who wants to get ahead of the competition and, you know, be out in front, really needs to develop those kind of inclusive environments.
Amazing. So what would you say to anybody out there in maybe who is top of their skill set in their profession, who would like to contact the British Dyslexia Association about being an ambassador?
Yeah, so I mean, we welcome anyone getting in touch with us. We're always looking for people to share their stories, to get involved with our work. We're you know, having champions that are able to kind of talk with their colleagues or be someone who in a workplace is kind of leading developments and making sure that it is an inclusive environment is you know, that's something that's really important to us. So we would absolutely encourage them to get in touch with us. There's lots that we can do, and there's still a huge amount that we need to do. So, you know, we've done a lot over recent years, and we're really proud of what we've achieved. But actually, there is still a lot to do, and there is still a kind of negative perception of dyslexia amongst many people within society, and we need to change that. And so, absolutely, we'd say, you know, anyone who feels they've got a short story to share with us, or you know, something that they want to contribute, you know, by all means, definitely get in touch.
And these are people who the younger generation who maybe suffer with dyslexia will look up to, because these are, you know, these are people who have been successful in their chosen industry, and it will show the younger learner, the younger professional, that actually anything is possible, even though at school it may not have been picked up. You know, it's I think their future progression is looking really, really good.
Definitely. And I mean, we find one of them, you know, and this is almost slightly outside my realm of experience, given my age, but, you know, particularly Instagram and Instagram influencers have been hugely important. And we've had quite a few who have links to the beauty industry or hair industry and so on. And they've been in touch, and we've done Instagram lives with them and that kind of thing. And it's just, it's what we want to make sure is that we're always relating to younger people through whatever mechanisms they want to use. So, you know, luckily I have colleagues who understand these things better than I, and, you know, really in tune with them. And it's kind of, you know, for us, it's making sure that the next generation are supported, and that they see examples of people who've really achieved things and can help them. And there's also a sort of mutual kind of help and support mechanism there, and kind of peer support, and that's really important. You know, if someone's had a bit of a tough time at school, there's still opportunities once you've left the school environment to really kind of upskill and develop, and so it's brilliant to have these kind of, you know, trendsetters and influences sort of show what they've achieved, you know, and kind of encourage the next generation.
Well, you've certainly inspired me and my company, Nick, the British Dyslexia Association, and your colleagues the colleagues that I've been in touch with. Really, the support that they've given me in progressing my exceptional customer service courses into Audible books has been immense. It really has.
Brilliant.
So I urge anybody out there in the industry, or even not in the salon industry, you know, if you just want to pick the brains of a company that know about dyslexia, then get in touch with the British Dyslexic Association, because they are incredibly helpful. And so, yeah, good. And Midas Customer Service are extremely proud to have the Smart Award.
Yes,
we are going to be working so hard next year. We've got some amazing things planned to be raising money for the Dyslexic Association. So we'll be in touch with you about that one, Nick, because some of them you're going to be joining us on.
Brilliant. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, better get on my bike and start training.
Yeah, it might not be London to Paris, but it might be similar. But fundraising, how can the general public, anybody out there, how can they raise funds for the British Dyslexic Association? You know, do you have a fundraising page, Facebook, or? Yeah,
so I mean, absolutely. You know, on our website, there's a bit of information, and we absolutely encourage people. I mean, it's so crucial for us because it gives us the opportunity to do more. So, for instance, we've got a free helpline that anyone with dyslexia can contact to ask for advice. And we often find people, either they might be someone in a workplace who's struggling and they need a bit of help and advice, or they might be a manager who's got a neurodiverse member of staff and they want to know how can they make them feel comfortable and make sure that the workplace is suitable for them. We often get parents calling up about their children having assessments while they're at school. So, you know, all of those kind of services really depend on voluntary contributions that we get from supporters. So, and there's different ways that people can support us. So they can take part in events, they can put on their own event, a kind of community event, you know, and at the moment, again, it's not a brilliant time right now, but hopefully as we get towards the summer, there'll be real opportunities for that kind of fundraising to pick back up. And it's going to be so important because, you know, that we really need to be able to support people. And there's 6 million people with dyslexia in the UK. So that's a lot of families and individuals that really need our help. So, you know, we say absolutely get in touch and we'll...
Isn't there a Dyslexia Day celebration?
So October, the first week in October, is Dyslexia Awareness Week, and
great.
Yeah, and this year we're focusing a theme on no one left behind. So we want to make sure that as we kind of emerge into the post-COVID world, that there is this risk, you know, from businesses that have maybe, you know, kind of had to, you know, real difficulties getting through the huge amounts of lockdown that we've had, you know, that we need to support people with dyslexia to make sure that they're given opportunities for employment. We need to make sure that we're supporting that kind of entrepreneurial, innovative mindset, because that can really help drive our economic growth, you know, in businesses. Yeah. We know that if someone with dyslexia starts a business, more often than not, they will, on average, they will employ more people than someone without dyslexia, and also that people with dyslexia that start businesses tend to start more than one business. So, you know, from an economic growth perspective, dyslexia is really important. So we're focusing on making sure that support is there for everyone and that we don't leave anyone behind.
Amazing news. So we'll have some challenges, I think, for that week, Nick. By then, we should all be able to get together, hopefully.
Yes.
And I'm sure we'll just have a fun week of driving traffic really towards the British Dyslexic Association. And I'm sure we'll come up with a few challenges.
Yeah, definitely. I'm game for a challenge, so by all means, think of one for me, and I'm happy to have a go.
Now you've done it.
So the future of the British Dyslexic Association, Nick, you know, in the short term, it's difficult, obviously, because we don't know timescales. But long term, you know, what are there any strategies in place that you've got that you can share with us?
Yeah, so I think our future is really looking at a couple of really important areas. So one is this whole theme of no one left behind, of making sure that, you know, that everyone has the opportunities, everyone gets the chance to succeed, everyone is supported, whether that's in school, in the workplace, within society generally. So that's a really important part for us. but also looking at, how can we change perceptions of dyslexia, so those people that don't really understand it, don't understand the benefits that it can bring. We want to kind of change that perception, and we've got some plans that are sort of in an early stage at the moment, but we're hoping to kind of really showcase people with dyslexia that have achieved amazing things, so that people understand, actually, this is something that can bring real benefits, real advantages, but you need to have that support in place from earlier on to make sure that, that no one's left behind. So that's our kind of dual strategy, because there is lots of positiveness about it, but it's just, we need to change that overall perception. And I think, there's real opportunities, particularly for, members of an industry like yours, that stretch right across the UK, and, meeting people on a daily basis, get a chance to really talk to them and so on. So there's real opportunities there to kind of change that perception, and hopefully maybe run some big national campaigns as well.
Yeah. That sounds great for the future. It really, really does. And, if there's anybody out there in the salon industry, or even not in the industry, that want to reach out, then I can say myself, having experience with working with you guys, you're so approachable, and any question or anything ideas that anybody has to approach the British Dyslexic Association, I would say just pick up the phone or email them or check out their Facebook, because there is so much information that can be really, really helpful for the younger professionals, but also the managers and the salon owners as well. So
yeah, absolutely. And we have a network of local associations. So there's a whole load of local associations around the country, and often there'll probably be one, not too far from a salon, wherever it may be based. So we can always also help kind of connect them to someone locally who can provide support, advice, and so on. So yeah, by all means, definitely get in touch, certainly.
Yeah. Well, on behalf of Kerry from Locate Your Look and Angeline from Midas, we want to say thank you, Nick Posford, so much for being on our podcast today and really educating us and other people out there, our listeners, into the area of British Dyslexic Association. So we'll look forward to that bike challenge. And
thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
You are very, very welcome, Nick. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much, Nick.
A big thank you to our guests today for giving up their time to share their own salon industry journeys. Don't forget to sign up to our channels so you don't miss out on the amazing guests we have lined up just for you. Big love from Kerry Humphreys, founder of Locate Your Look, and Angeline Hayden, founder of Midas Customer Service Training and Salon Solutions. See you next time on the Salon Chat Room podcast.